Welcome back, AP, right? Welcome back to it. Welcome back to not a flip, but this is an LEQ help flip, right? So what we're doing right now is just going to use maybe 10-ish minutes to just trying to help you out a little bit, to give you some structure and some understanding to that essay that you need to write. That's going to be a big part of your summer assignment. Now, really quickly, just to explain to you the purpose and rationality behind why you're writing the essay that you're about to write, the simple 5-paragraph essay that you've been writing 5-paragraph essays since you've been in elementary school, so this is not asking you to do a lot, okay? By the way, on the AP test, you're supposed to write this entire essay in an hour, so I want you to try and do that, right? Get used to that time limit. Don't spend days doing this. This is simply just meant to be, more than anything, a writing sample. A sample so I can see how good of a writer you are by College Board standards. How do you do theses? How is your sentence structure? How is your ability to pull things you've learned and put them into an essay? What does that look like? So don't worry about it too much. Don't freak out about it. Don't fret about it. I would like for you to sit down and bang this thing out in about an hour, okay? Because if you take any more time than that, it's kind of getting into the idea of you're not going to be able to do it on the actual test. So let's practice that time thing now. Okay, so big thing about it though, let's go ahead and get into it, all right? Let's talk about what it is in your summer assignment, what it's supposed to look like, and what I'm actually asking you to do, okay? So what we're actually looking at here is your summer assignment paper in general, right? Your LEQ essay is supposed to just be a very simple thing. It is one of the 3 types of writing that you will see on the AP exam, okay? The AP exam is going to ask you to write short answer questions, right? Which I think personally are the hardest thing to do, but we'll get into that a little bit later on, and we practice them on every test, so don't worry too much, okay? Then there's a DBQ, which is the document-based question that my kids routinely crush, all right? So I'm sorry, I can teach a DBQ like it's going out of style. These last kids that just took this test literally murdered it on a national and state level. They were just like ding, 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 like literally just crushed the DBQ, right? DBQ I can teach really well. However, where a lot of my students do tend to struggle is in this thing that we're about to talk about, the LEQ. That's why we need to practice it now. We need to start practicing now and get even better at it, and I'm going to dynamically teach it in ways that I've never done before, right? Including flips like these to try and help you out a little bit, okay? So what the LEQ is, if you want to say hello to the people, you can. Hello. All right, so now, what an LEQ is a long essay question. Hello. All right, so yeah, it's a long essay question, right? So what that means is it's just a simple prompt that they will ask you in about 1 sentence, and you're going to need to craft a 4 to 5 paragraph essay about that prompt, right? And you can do an LEQ about anything, all right? Like they can ask you about anything. And on the test, they're going to give you 3 options, not 1. That's a great thing for you, right? They're going to give you 3. And you get to pick between which of these 3 prompts do you like the most, right? For example, if they gave me a prompt and they were like, why is Pierre, my dog, Pierre, the little cutie that's like sitting right here in front of me, why is he the most adorable dog you've ever seen in your life? Well, I would probably start off my entire essay talking about who Pierre is, right, where he comes from, and when I adopted him, how old he is, and stuff like that. Giving you context in my essay, right? My thesis statement is then going to tell you why I think Pierre is the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? For several reasons. And then I'm going to write paragraphs about each of those reasons, right? Because I'll be like, okay, he's tubby and I love it, and he's like shaped like a big round cylinder. He also is kind of mean, and I like that because it means he's like very wants to protect me and stuff like that. But I do want him to be a little bit nicer. Include that in my essay as well. And then the third one will be he's just flat out adorable, and he likes to sleep a lot, and he's pudgy. So like now, I know that relates to the first thing, but still. So like as you can see, that's how simple an LEQ is, right? They ask me, why is he cute? I'm telling you, here's who he is. Here's why I think this. You know what I mean? So it's not that hard, all right? So when we're looking at it, though, let's talk about what you're going to be writing your LEQ about. Your LEQ is mainly going to be about the following 4 things, synthesized into an essay, okay? You ready? 1, it's going to be about the last flip that will be posted. It's going to be posted probably tomorrow, okay? Now, your last flip, which will be discussing what the Renaissance is, what humanism is, and how the Renaissance represents the reemergence of Greek-Roman values and also the reemergence of art forms during this time, okay? So the big thing about it is you're going to be basing it off of that flip and then also these 3 articles that you will be reading, okay? Which is about Dante's, Divine Comedy, which I'll talk about a lot tomorrow, okay? You're going to be reading an article as well about Michelangelo's painting of the Sistine Chapel ceiling, which we talked about a little bit just now when I talked about the School of Athens and stuff like that, and how it has Roman and Greek symbolism inside of it, right? And then last but not least, you're going to be talking about that thing that we also talked about in the last flip, right? The dome of the Florence Cathedral, also known as Brunelleschi's dome, right? And what you're going to do, though, is you're going to take the information from your 4th flip that discusses Renaissance humanism and the information you learned from those 3 articles, and you're going to talk about how is it that those 3 things represent the Renaissance and Italian culture, okay? So basically, don't get bogged down in the words. Learn to cut through the prompt, okay? When I mean cut through the prompt, what I mean by that is learn what the prompt is asking you, okay? Analyze the ways. What does it mean, analyze the ways? Is tell me why, okay? These three things represent the Renaissance. That's it. All right, so now that's all I'm asking you to do is to tell me why those three things represent the Renaissance and what it is. All right, like that's all. So just simplify the prompt for yourself a little bit every single time you prepare to do one of these, okay? And now getting into it, let's look at a visual representation of what your LEQ is supposed to look like. Now I'm going to post this on your Google Classroom, okay? Now I got to see if that's been created for you already, and if it has been, I'll post it now. If it hasn't been, I'll email this to all of you, okay? But this is a physical representation of what your LEQs, whenever you write any of them, should look like. So this is not a representation of that specific one, because you're not babies. You can do this, okay? Now, looking at it, though, okay, think of this like when you were a child and you wrote 5-paragraph essays in school, okay? Here are my reasons and the body paragraph about each of those reasons, right? If you were to look at an LEQ visually, you have your first paragraph right here, which includes intro, context, thesis, okay? So your context is the very important first point you get. Now, just to give you a heads up, the LEQ is based on a 6-point rubric, okay? Like, so you get I think it's 6 points. Pretty sure it's 6 points. I'll have to look that up. I'll double check. But I'm going to send you the rubric as well, okay? But the rubric will show you it's based on a certain number of points, right? And if you can get X number of points, you know what I mean? Like if you can get a certain number of points out of this, okay, you're on your way to getting a 3 on the AP test in general. And the first two easy ones, the layups, literally come from the first paragraph. You get 2 points out of the first paragraph out the gate, okay? The first point is context right here. The second point is thesis, okay? Now, the context, let's explain what that is. To get that point, whenever you're writing an LEQ essay, what you have to do is look at your prompt and see what era or part of history it's asking about, okay? This one is asking you about the Renaissance. So you would discuss things that surround the Renaissance or what the Renaissance is, right? You would talk about events that led up to the Renaissance, and maybe, if you want, even talk about a few events that came after the Renaissance and talk about how the Renaissance led to other things. You see what I'm talking about? That's giving context. You're basically, when you're getting the context point, it's like you're trying to tell a story to your lunch group, right? But you got to tell them what happened first before you actually get into the meat and potatoes of the story. You can't just come out there and be like, and then that girl said something about my outfit. You have to be like, well, we were at this thing, right? And we were going, and then like the whole thing was, I was already mad, you know what I mean, because my mom was making me late and stuff like that. That's context, right? You're giving context to your story, okay? So think about it that way. So then you have your thesis, okay? Your thesis is your provable thing you're trying to say that you're in. It's basically one sentence that describes your whole essay, all right? So what your thesis is a claim, okay? You are claiming something. For example, if you were going by the gossip thing that we just talked about, your claim is, I'm mad at Lindsay because she wore the same outfit to the party that I did. Because she knew what I was going to wear, she knew I had this already, but she still did it anyway, right? So like now, do you see what I'm saying? That thing right there tells me what you're feeling, where you're going with this, and reasons why, okay? So that right there is how you write a thesis. For example, I have an example thesis out of here, okay? If the prompt asks you, were the causes of the French Revolution economic or political, right? And if I went the economic route, I'd be like, the causes of the French Revolution stem from economic hardships that preceded the year 1789, which is when the French Revolution began. Like the failing Estates General, massive debt, and terrible harvest disrupting international trade, right? So like, that's how you get a thesis right there, right? Because I'm telling you where I'm going with this, and I'm giving you a line of reasoning. Now, what a line of reasoning is, okay, is basically an outlining of why you think it. Those three things are your body paragraphs, right? So, for example, in the one that you're about to write, your thesis would be like, the works of art known as Brunelleschi's Dome, Dante's Divine Comedy, and Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel represent Renaissance values and humanism by the rebirth of Greek and Roman values that are demonstrated within them. Right? So like now, right? And then literally body paragraph number 1, it's going to be about the dome, right? Body paragraph 2, Sistine Chapel ceiling. Body paragraph 3, Divine Comedy. And it doesn't have to go in that order, right? It can go in any order you choose. And you need to then take information you got from those articles and use that as your evidence, right? How does the Divine Comedy represent the Renaissance? How does Brunelleschi's Dome represent the Renaissance? How does the Sistine Chapel ceiling represent the Renaissance, right? And you just give me reasons why, okay? And you synthesize that into an essay, okay? And then last but not least, you have your most importantly non-important paragraph, your conclusion. Your conclusion, honestly, you can end up getting like 5 out of 6 points on an LEQ, even without a conclusion, okay? Like, you don't even need to say anything at the end, necessarily. You can still get the bulk of the points, the lion's share of the points, right? Well, the least important paragraph is the conclusion, simply because it's just a paragraph that's supposed to brush over everything you've already talked about, reiterate, and try to connect it to future events, right? Or past events, okay? So basically, that's how you get that thing. There's this thing in that we all call in the teaching community when you're teaching how to write for an AP test. It's called the unicorn point, right? And unicorns are, by mythology, impossible to catch, right? Like, they're impossible to catch, okay? Now, the thing about the unicorn point on these essays, that when you want to go off to the College Board and write them, I'll teach you how to get the unicorn point, but it is difficult to get because a lot of it depends on the reader and if they think you did it well enough. You know what I'm talking about? So the thing about it is I want you to focus the least on the conclusion. I want a couple of sentences where you just wrap everything up, okay? And then we'll be copacetic, all right? But that right there is how you write an LEQ, and I will also be sending you a link as well to this other guy named Heimler, who's a great guy who explains these as also, and he does them even faster and a little bit better animated than I do, okay? The big thing about it is all this stuff's going to end up in your email inbox as well, but I'll see y'all soon. Y'all have a good one.